Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Kimbo here, and it's time for another epic Bakugan Evolutions episode review. So we got number 12 here. Yeah, almost halfway through. I think the next one will probably be halfway because it's like, what, 13, 20, like, yeah, probably 25, 26 episodes per season. So this episode starts with Baku Palooza. Yeah, there's Baku Palooza. That's what they call it. Nice little festival where they have like Bakugan and such there because a lot of people being skeptical about Bakugan because of the elemental storms and such. So it's important having these. Even Athena explained that. But it's Athena, Dan, Wynton, and the meditation teacher. So they're all just sitting there at Baku Palooza, and then the teacher explained how there's also preliminary battles that you could have as well. Like, you can sit there and just spectate and watch the Bakugan and such, or places to show off like the Bakugan and other places where there could be battles or such. Um, yeah, man. So, but yeah, basically the meditation teacher said that there's going to be preliminary battles going on and such. Yeah. So with that, she had Dan Wynton and Athena all battle together. Paired them all to battle together, and they were all just like, okay, like this is a random pairing, but why us? And then the meditation teacher was basically like, I just went with what I felt with the universe. Yeah, and they're just like, oh, okay. And then like she's just sitting there in the pose for a while, and the people were sitting there staring at her, and they're just like, people are staring, like they're staring big time. But then they end up in the cafeteria and they're sitting there talking, trying to think of a strategy. Dan's just like, oh, I'll just whoop them all by myself. And then Athena obviously being irritated by it. Blitz Fox being like, why is he so conceited? Like arrogant and such. Like, just with that demeanor. Maybe if he didn't have that demeanor, he'd get stronger. And then Drago's like, well, his demeanor is a part of his charm, but don't think it's arrogance. His confidence is not arrogance. And then Athena getting mad at Dan too, like, why can't you ever like just go along with a plan or something. Like, why do you always have to sit there and think of yourself, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. They're headbutting big time, like I said all the time. Those two are so similar that they just freaking butt heads like crazy. But yeah, so they're just sitting there trying to think of a strategy, and, Wynton's like, well, we're supposed to have fun with this battle, right? And Athena's like, it's a Bakugan battle. All battles are important. And then we get a cutscene to their actual battle. So it's Dan, Wynton, and Athena taking on was Leah, I think maybe Chad, and Crystal Blue. Well, definitely it was Crystal Blue. Um, but yeah, so in the middle of it, when they're about to all brawl and holding out their Bakugan, somebody shows up, and they're like, "Hold it!" And they even showed a cutscene of this person before, like they enjoy Bakugan. Well, the person happened to be one returning Sophie. Yeah, Judson Warfield. I think that's her name, right? Like her full name was Sophie. Basically showing back up and going on his spiel about how Bakugan need to be liberated from humans and such because humans don't treat them right, all that good stuff. And Athena basically asking like, "Do you know her?" And then they explain how they knew Sophie. From obviously the past and the battles with well, it started with Havoc, because yeah, then Sophie got like brainwashed with that. So even seeing her come back, season 2 character coming back with this, that's really cool, honestly. But yeah, so uh, basically getting into some battles. She has like three kid brawlers with her, and then they're all sitting there brawling. They launch out their Bakugan, but then Sophie says, "Why don't we have a brawl where it's only the Bakugan battling, no brawlers?" And they were just like, "Oh, okay." And then while they're out there, the one who struggled with it the most was Trox, because he's used to like hearing Wynton's like commands and everything. So he was kind of flustered. And then Blitz Fox is like, you have to learn how to battle for yourself as well, not just with your partner. You have to focus on your own strength too, without the dependency of like a brawler. And Drago's doing pretty decent, because Drago's Drago and he's strong. But in the middle of the brawl, I think it was a Darkest Gorthion one of them had, like one of the other kids had, and Gorthion basically saying like, well, the kid's saying, "Oh, we don't need to worry about all of that stuff." Like they weren't really paying attention to what Sophie said, but he's just like, "Well, Gorthion said this, and that's the truth. that we just go along with what Sophie says. And then Gorthiana agreed, but also Gorthiana wasn't listening to anything that they were saying. And then obviously Leah sitting on the outside listening, like, no, that's not true. That's not how it works. It's important to have a bond with Bakugan and Brawler. And they started to explain that, to Gorthion, because Gorthion was feeding off of his Brawler's energy and then battling with it. And then Drago's like, do you really think it's not good to have a bond with your brawler? Like, that bond between humans and Bakugan is essential, and they bring out each other's potential to the absolute fullest with that bond, and fully explaining that. And then Gorthion's starting to understand it, and then looks back at the brawler and said, "Hey, you want to battle?" And then he's like, "Yeah, let's go battle. It'll be a lot of fun." And then the other kids are like, "Wait, man, that's not fair. I want it too." And then Sophie's just sitting up there mad. And the crazy thing was the meditation teacher, kind of went along with Sophie's ideals at first, like about like Bakugan depending on like themselves and such, and thinking for themselves, and everybody was confused about it. But it seemed like the teacher just kind of knew that Sophie didn't really have like that big time connection with the Bakugan and Brawler in her heart, and even still doesn't fully have it in her heart and such. And the teacher just kind of went along with it, and realize at the end, like, that woman doesn't have a bond like love with her Bakugan or such on that crazy level, and it shows. Um, but yeah, so then basically the whole narrative being the bond between Bakugan and Brawl is really really essential and really important. Like, don't just try to get rid of that bond, because they could depend on. I mean, they could probably go for themselves, but the potential is more there when it's Bakugan and Brawler, and it's not like forcing the Bakugan to battle or anything, but Bakugan enjoying battling, having the Brawler to help them out and such, and even up in the knowledge of the Brawler, that bond with their Bakugan and such, making them better. You know, just how they depend on one another. So yeah, it's the overall theme with this, and plus, mainly an episode to bring back in Sophie. So seeing her back in this, it's also like, what will she have? Like, what will her role be in this? Because I don't know. I don't think it's just like a one-off kind of performance. I think we might see Sophie some more. And she's another character that we're seeing again. Like, we got Crystal Blue, we've got Hackett, we got Sophie, all in the same season. The only ones we're really missing from like the last two seasons, like the evils, well, like, not really evil, but like people who had like their mind shifted and such. What, like McHugh and Everett, I think, are the two that are missing. Besides that, the others are in this, I believe. But yeah, and definitely won't be surprised if we see McHugh and Everett coming in some next episodes for sure. But yeah, so overall, a pretty good episode. Just seeing Sophie come back into the fray of things, that was pretty cool. Uh, but yeah, so now we got to get into the second part of the episode. So the second part starts off with Athena and Wynton actually training, because Athena's been helping the awesome brawlers to get stronger and honestly bring out their full potential with their modes and such. Well, Dan kind of figured it out himself. Well, not really. He figured it out through Magnus, because of the battle with Magnus. He was able to bring out that power and such. But the others have been mainly learning through Athena, and Trox even getting stronger too. Like Wynton and Trox, having these battles with Athena, it's helping them out. So at first, facing off against Blitzfox, they were struggling, but then in the middle of the battle, Wynton managed to actually get a core, and he sends out Trox in strength mode. So Wynton's able to use strength mode now. And just definitely a different figure design for it. So it looks like they're giving Trox a Drago treatment, where it's like a unique ball design, big time, for like the strength and the speed mode. You know, um, yeah, that's what it's seeming like. I don't think like, yeah, because they both look different. They both look different, but getting into it, they mean the strength mode looks a lot different, like design wise. But during that, they just stopped the brawl, because Wynton and Trox were tired, and then we get a cutscene back to Wynton come back to the room really late. Dan being why are you getting back here so late, and why are you so exhausted? And then Wynton said he was training with Athena, and Dan got super pissed. He's just like, why? Like, why are you guys training with her? Like, why are you guys just going for Athena and such and listening to her so much? And then Wynton just honestly asks, like, are you Like, do you hate her or something? And Dan's like, no, I don't hate her. It's just I want to beat her. You know, like obviously, like Dan being frustrated because he hasn't really been able to get a big time win over Athena. They're rivals, you know, Pyrus rivals, both having big time pride and such. Had butting like crazy, and she's always had his number. So yeah, man. And then Wynton just passes out, and then I think it's the next day they talk about there being like a school wide kind of battle tournament thing. You know, school wide battles. Um, and during those battles, it was Chad taking on Wynton. You know, so Chad and Wynton facing off. So Warrior Whale and Trox facing off, and it being a really really intense battle. And in the beginning, Dan's just sitting out there trying to yell encouraging words to Wynton, and then and then Athena's like, "Stop telling him things that are wrong." Like they're just sitting there headbutting like crazy. You already know. And Leah's on the outside watching as well. Uh, so they start off the battle and it's really neck and neck. But then at the beginning, right at the very beginning, Chad calls back Warrior Whale and then sends out Warrior Whale in the strength mode. So then Dan's like, "Oh, how can Wynton win this?" Not knowing that he has the strength mode. And then Leah's just like, "Just watch, Dan." And then, sure enough, he sends out strength mode. And Dan's just like, "He learned strength mode? Whoa!" And you know, like I think Shun and Ajit were watching as well, being really impressed and such. And so they're facing off big time, and it's just equal power wise, you know, with the strength mode of Warrior Whale and also Trox. But their powers were even. And then even, you know, after that, Chad sends back Warrior Whale. He retracts Warrior Whale and then sends out Warrior Whale in the speed mode. So he mastered both of them. So they're even showing how strong Chad's gotten. They've shown how strong all these brawlers have gotten because they can use like strength and speed mode. And then Chad uses speed mode. Like, well, Warrior Whale uses speed mode. Yeah, speed mode Chad. But yeah, Warrior Whale just outspeeding Trox big time, and even with the strength mode, can't keep up with that speed and getting hit big time. And then Wynton sitting there like he's too fast. How are we gonna be able to do this? Because he doesn't have speed mode. And then you hear Dan and Athena at the same time just yelling out, "Don't give up!" You know, giving encouraging words to Wynton. And then after that, Wynton just tells Trox, "Just trust me. I know the perfect time." Um, and then sure enough, after Warrior Whale gets some attacks in, Trox goes in with some counterattacks and gets some nice hits on Warrior Whale, just hitting it at the right moment, even just being in the strength mode and not the speed mode. It's all about good timing. And then after that, another core shows up, except it shows up for Wynton. So he retracts Trox and sends out Trox. We get Trox in speed mode. And it looks like it has a different ball design as well. So I really feel like it is getting the Drago treatment with this, you know, a different design for strength and speed mode. For the most part, like either the Bakugan might have like, you know, in strength mode, we see the platinum version of them, or in speed mode, we see like another different version that they have, you know. Just how they're doing it with this season, which is all good, man. It just shows like they all have different ball forms and such depending on their modes and like how they look normally. But Trox definitely has two different ball designs, so maybe that means we're going to be seeing different versions of Trox. So we'll see like the strength version and the speed version, and we've of course got like the core version for it, how it normally looks. But yeah, so with speed mode, Trox keeps up with Warrior Whale big time. Trox is fast. You got this crazy fast freaking Flash Reptar going around, like super speed, Speedy Gonzalez, Speedy Reptar, Asaurus, whatever you want to call him. Like, yeah, like you got Roadrunner Reptar in here. I'm gonna call him that, Roadrunner Reptar, because he's going around fast as Truck Boy, and even Warrior Whale can't keep up. And then he gets some big time hits in, knocks down Warrior Whale, and then you know, that's it for the brawl. You know, he manages to beat Chad, and then Wynton sits there and talks with Trox, like, "You managed to do it," and then Trox is like, "Look at this, I'm in speed mode now." And he does look really cool in speed mode for sure. Like, imagine a really quick, like, freaking speedy dinosaur coming at you. That's terrifying. But yeah, and then afterwards, Dan's like, yeah, I knew you'd listen to my words of encouragement. Then Athena's like, what words? You were sitting there and going to tell him the wrong strategy. And then they're sitting there headbutting, and then Wynton's out there like, knowing how they're headbutting and arguing. And um, then there's Studio B. So this was an interesting thing, just because like what happened before. But in Studio B, Athena actually shows up. Like Wynton has Athena show up at Studio B, but originally Studio B, like Athena was gonna tell on them about it, and then they probably get kicked out of the academy, but she didn't. But now she's just showing up at Studio B regularly, or at least with this. But I mean, Studio, like considering Athena knows it exists, nobody else really knows it exists. But Athena did when they were making it. So I guess it makes sense. But Athena shows up there, and they're all sitting and talking a little bit because Wynton said he had invited Athena there to talk, and they were talking about the elemental asylum. So the site online in which brawlers were learning how to use elemental energy or elementally power up their Bakugan, and how that's been a big time threat. That's still been a thing that's big time in the shadows, like the elemental asylum. They haven't touched on it like a ton. They've been talking about it more and more, so it's definitely a given. It's going to be one of the big time things they focus on with like the next arc. Um, but yeah, so Athena, while they were sitting there talking about it, Athena thought of like a suspect, somebody that could be behind it. And Athena went out and said Magnus, honestly. And Dan was not having any of it. Like, he got mad, mad. I mean, he got mad, mad. He was like, no, you don't see Dan lose his cool, like, real crazy like that. Like, yes, he's a hothead and he gets upset at points, but he was, like, pissed at this. He was like, no, there's no way it would be Magnus. It's absolutely not. And then even Wynton was sitting there talking to him, like, trying to tell him, like, calm down, Dan. We don't know. Like, just calm down, Dan. And then he's like, you're taking Athena's side again? And he's like, no, not that. And then Leah's like, just calm down, Dan. Maybe we should listen to what she's saying. Like, just saying, like, we have to hear her out what she's saying. And Dan wasn't having any of it, man. He was beyond pissed. He was mad. He's like, no, I've had enough of this. And he walks out, even though he's doing the funny, like, walk out that Dan does. That was hilarious. Um, and they're just like, where are you going? I'm going to go and prove that Magnus is innocent. And then he walks out and slams the door. And they're like, wait a minute. You can't do that by yourself. And then Dan just walking off, like, I will prove that Magnus is innocent. So, this. Basically, like, now shifting towards the elemental asylum, putting focus on that. So it seems like this episode was the beginning of that, where they really start focusing on this elemental asylum, what's going on in the background and such. But yeah, this is the point where a lot of crap's gonna hit the fan, because I definitely do not trust Marlo Faustus. Also, that Athena's so close to Faustus. I don't see Athena being a bad, like an evil kind of brawler. Definitely not. Especially after all these battles. It's one of those cases of being absolutely strong, but then following someone that they don't know is like an absolute jerk. Yeah, like kind of one of those instances. So, Athena is really, really strong, and she's been under the wing of Marlo Faustus from the jump, even coming to the academy because he saw that potential in her and everything. But he's been pulling strings behind the scenes, definitely, and more and more and more. I'm thinking that, like, yeah, considering how strong this Matt is, he knows how to use speed and power mode just by seeing the other brawlers do it. He learns that right away. You know, like even with the nano gun and everything, he's been learning by seeing others do stuff, but he's been sitting watching over everything. So he's just been gaining all this knowledge without having to lift a finger, you know? Which is I don't know, sketchy. But yeah, but I definitely see Athena not being an evil brawler, just like, following his words and such. And I think this is a point where it's kind of like that because she still believes in Marlo Faustus because none of this like stuff has come to fruition yet. I like even with Marlo, I don't know. Maybe this man's gonna go like Super Saiyan or some bull crap, or just turn evil and just start like his demeanor start changing like or something like that. Um, yeah, and definitely Athena is gonna probably be one of the ones that sides with Marlo big time, even when they start finding out stuff, and then Athena's gonna get real mad. It's probably gonna be Dan that might figure this out. Maybe he might. get a big time like hint about it. Um, because now Dan's going after Magnus, and then Magnus, whatever he's doing, they're gonna probably have Dan show up in the middle of it, and then Dan and Magnus are gonna have a back and forth and just like sit there and talk about it, and then Magnus will probably tell him how he doesn't trust Marlo Faustus. Maybe he saw something while he was at the academy, and he's like, because Magnus plays Magnus PI, Magnum PI. Man lurks around. He notices all the stuff. You know, like the uncensored and stuff. He sees all of it, like just the underneath, like evil belly of everything. Man, he could sniff it out. And anybody that figures that stuff out, it's Magnus. He just knows right away because it's Magnus. Enough said. So probably have a dialogue with Dan, and then probably tell him how he doesn't trust Marlo Faustus, and then he'll try talking about Faustus when he goes and talks back with the other brawlers. Then Athena's gonna probably be there. Then Athena will probably get pissed because like him saying something about the headmaster of the school that like there's some corruption with him, and then that's where things will just start to get really wild, man. Like yeah, but I can imagine honestly, in honest goodness, Marlo being behind the Elemental Asylum, but this is gonna probably cause a rift in like even the friendship with the Brawlers and Athena. I feel like over time, because right now they're still civil and talking and everything, but then I feel like after saying that, like maybe Dan figures out something, then that's where it's gonna be kind of headbutting and stuff. But I definitely see us getting another battle with Dan and Athena because they're just big time rivals. But yeah, dude. And especially if there's anybody who can get under Athena's skin, it's Dan. And vice versa. Uh, Dan can get under Athena's skin, but Athena can get under Dan's skin too, for sure. But it shows like they're so similar and such. Like, yeah, for real, man. They really are, even with how their personalities are and everything. But I'm looking forward to seeing just how things are going to go with this because we're getting to that point where I think crap's going to start hitting the fan and we're going to start finding out some of the real stuff because definitely, like I said, it doesn't feel like everybody in the academy is evil, just some of the higher ups like Marlo Faustus don't know exactly who's close with Faustus like crazy. Like maybe it's the teachers. Um, Maybe the teachers even know about this. If not, it could be Faustus just playing them all as puppets, and especially like Athena, because I can't see her being an evil character, but also like if it does go down this way, I can't see her siding with Awesome Brown. She's gonna side with Faustus for sure, considering he brought her into the academy and everything. So it's gonna be interesting to see just how things develop. But overall, this was a really sick episode showing, how Wynton's gotten stronger. Also, just like the importance of the bond between Bakugan and Brawler, and also like not looking at Bakugan as like big time threats or anything, but like friends, especially with everything going on with the elemental storms, people being kind of about that. It's kind of like how the original era of Bakugan, when it came to the second half of season 4. I know people might not remember this that much because it's like where people dropped off, but Bakugan came to Earth from Vestroya, and because Wise Man, the evil for the first era, and the second half of season 4, the very last season, when Wise Man showed up with the Nonats, everybody became skeptical of Bakugan. Then Bakugan Land wasn't come to as much. There was Damdos, which is the Dinosaur, and he was sitting there talking about how humans, like what's the good of humans? Anyways, like they don't care about us, like they just outcast us Bakugan. So it shows like that. I don't know if it's a reference to that, but it's so like a little Easter egg reference with that. That's kind of cool because Bakugan Land, Baku Palooza, season 4. Come on, man. But yeah, overall, definitely enjoyed this episode for sure. Like just a lot of development with it. Like Sophie come back in, the importance of the bond between Bakugan and Brawler, Wynton getting speed and power mode down. So we mainly got to see speed and power mode for who else? Like Shun. Well, no, Shun's got his speed mode. He figured that out. So at this point, I think Lightning and a G. And that's pretty much it. Then they'll all have speed and power mode down their belt, and they're kind of weaving it in, like they're slowly getting stronger too, but then adding other elements like more brawlers and stuff coming in. It's cool. It's like a nice little pace and flow that they're doing with this for sure. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode review on episode number 12. Yeah. So about halfway through, I think the next episode will be like the halfway point. But this is how you know, like especially being almost halfway through, crap's about to hit the fan for sure. We're about to start finding out the nitty gritty details for this season. I'm all here for it, man. It's gonna be wild to see just how things go. But I just know one thing: with everything that's going on, D. No, I'm not gonna say that. Don't trust Faustus. Can't say DTF. No, don't say that. But don't trust Faustus. I'll say that. You know, I don't trust Marlo. DTM. We'll say that. DTM. Don't trust Marlo. Because that's how I'm feeling. I don't trust that man. Headmaster, not. Especially just how fascinated he's been with the power and such of Bakugan, where it's been speed mode or power mode or such. I don't trust him. That's for sure. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments and hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to slice that like button down below. Let me know how I did. If you're new to my channel, definitely be sure to subscribe for some epic content because I upload daily. And if you haven't already, be sure to ring that bell by my channel name to be notified whenever I upload a video. So yeah, guys, till next time, it is your boy Kimbo signing off. See you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Till then, stay awesome and Bakugan Brawl. I'm up out of here.